Hey, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, drop a like on my video, and share it on social media. Thanks.
You know what's crazy is here we are, another Monday, in the middle of Corona and in the middle of protests about police brutality. And yet, it's another Monday of another police brutality incident, like another story.
So this is Trevor Noah. If you don't know who that is, he is the host of The Daily Show. He is a half white, half black man from Africa. And it's my understanding he was given in The Daily Show as a way of being inclusive to black people. Instead of giving it to the person who was best for the job, we gave it to him because of social justice points. So let's see what he has to say. He's going to talk about Rayshard Brooks. And it doesn't really make sense. He's like pulling a con on us. We'll see. You're in a country of 330 million people with a high crime rate. You're going to get police brutality every single day somewhere. And this is a huge country. Every single day in this country, you're going to have police brutality happen. Whether it's justified or not, you're going to have that happen. We're one of the largest countries on the planet, size-wise. We're like, what, the fifth largest country geographically? And we're the third largest country population-wise, and we're the freest country that is that size. So you're going to end up with a ton of crime. And every single day there's going to be police brutality just because of the numbers and the size of the country.
That has people going, how long? How much? When is it enough?
Police are not targeting individuals specifically. Yeah, there are some times when police are unjustly brutal. That happens. They're human. So you're going to get all different kinds of human beings being police. Sometimes it's going to be justified, sometimes it's going to be questionable, and other times it's not going to be justified at all.
The story is out of Atlanta. Rayshard Brooks. And forgive me if I get any of the details wrong, but as far as I know, you've probably seen the video, you've read the story. Rayshard was in his car in a Wendy's drive-thru. He was drunk or tipsy, or he had alcohol, and he fell asleep. People are driving around his car. And so somebody at the Wendy's called the cops. The cops arrive at Wendy's and, they get Rayshard out of the car. And they start talking to him for about 30 minutes, asking him, is he drunk? Why is he driving? What's going on? I mean, it seems pretty standard. And the whole time throughout this video, you have human beings being human beings. You have Rayshard, who's clearly inebriated, and he's talking to the cops. And you have the cops asking him the questions. And what was interesting for me about this video is, in the beginning, it seems like everything is going to be fine. The cops are talking to him like a person.
Yes, that's what the cops do. And then what did Rayshard do in response to them treating him like a human being? He assaulted them. He assaulted them with a semi-lethal weapon. It's not considered lethal, but you can kill people. Tasers can kill. Why did he do that? Because he's an idiot? Because he was inebriated? The police had his information. They had all of his information. They talked to him. They saw his ID. They had his car right there. His car is the white car in the image you see on your screen right now. So they had his car information. They had his information off his ID. And so when they're arresting him, what does he decide to do? He decides to fight back and run from the police. Really? Do you think that is a good idea at that point? Because they have all of your information. You're not going to get far. You are not going to get far. And he has a criminal record. This is the hill he chose to die on. He's like, I'm not going down for another crime. I'm not going to prison. I'm not going to jail. Whatever. He has like six different convictions and one non-conviction on his arrest record. I can't remember off the top of my head. I looked at it a few days ago. But look it up. You can find it. Just type in, Rayshard Brooks rap sheet. You can find it. It's really easy to find. He's kept his nose clean the last 6 years. He hasn't been caught doing anything. Hopefully he hasn't been doing anything, but he doesn't want to go back. So he decides that he's going to fight this with the police. No, you fight it with a lawyer. Don't you understand this?
And not being They're not being aggro. They're not being disrespectful. They're not being mean or anything. He's being respectful. He's calling them sir. He's not cussing them out. He's offering to walk. Everything is going well. Everything is going well. And then in one moment, in just a few seconds, every part of that normal story turns into the abnormal ending that we've come to know as interactions with police and black people.
Right, because he assaulted the police officers. Should he have been shot to death? No, probably not. His actions didn't warrant shooting to death. But I wasn't there in the heat of the moment. Who knows what's going through your mind? You have adrenaline pumping. Their supervisor showed up on the scene and was questioning. You can find the videos. Supervisor shows up on the scene, is questioning them, and he's like, "What's going on?" And it's like, I'm good. You know, it's got the adrenaline going still. You know, this is long before he's been charged with, oh, you're going to go to the electric chair for defending your life.
Because the police try and arrest him. He resists and he wrestles with the police. In the scuffle, they try and tase him. While he's being tased, he grabs the taser, he gets up, he runs away. And I'm missing a few beats of the story because I don't want to take you through too much of it, but that's essentially what happens.
Why don't you want to take us through too much of it? Because you know you're wrong. Trevor Noah, a man who is half black and denies his white half. Is that how it is? Oh, you're right. You're 51% black, most likely, because your mother is a black person and you get a little bit more from your mother, don't you? Well, we all do. This is how it works. So you want to deny the important facts where he assaulted the police and he ran from them and then he fired a potentially deadly weapon at one of them and then he ended up getting shot because of it. So
Rayshard runs away and the police chase him. As he's running, he shoots off the taser.
Yes, he shot off the taser, right? He raised his hand and shot it off in the sky like he's celebrating. Woohoo, it's good times, I'm running away. Boom. Shoot. No, he shot the taser right at the cop. Right at the cop.
Switches his weapons from a taser to a gun and shoots Rayshard 2 or 3 times in the back, and he's dead. And immediately everyone goes, everyone goes to their battle stations. That's what plagues me about these stories. Everyone just goes to their battle stations.
No. BLM and the black people, and well, white people too, any people who support BLM, go to their battle stations. They're the ones out there causing this to be a war. This is not a problem for someone like me, who's like, okay, a person broke the law and got shot. It's unfortunate, possibly tragic, possibly unnecessary, but it happens. You know, when you deal with the police, I'm always like, look, my hands are right here. You can see them. What would you like me to do, officer? If the officer breaks the law in regards to me, then I can press charges later. I can go to a lawyer. I can go to his supervisor. There's body cams now. I have my own camera with me all the time. This can all be resolved very easily.
Immediately people go, well, once again, another example of black people resisting the cops and being criminals, and why are you driving drunk, and why are you running away from the police, and what? And
yes, those things are illegal. Those are things you don't do because they land you in trouble and possibly death.
Then, of course, you have other people, in their battle stations saying, oh, of course, another story of cops who immediately shoot a black man for just sleeping in his car. But, it's messy. No one wants to admit that the thing is messy. It's messy.
I'm actually surprised you admitted that, Trevor. This is a messy situation. It's not cut and dry. Do the police need to be punished? Maybe the cop who shot him needs to be fired, or put on desk duty at the very least, I would say. But to be put on death row, to even be tried as first-degree murder, do you think this guy was going in there going, well, today is going to be the day I'm going to kill a black man. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kill a black man. I don't think that's what he's doing at all. He's trying to do his job as a police officer. And he tried to arrest somebody who had broken the law, and it turned ugly. It's unfortunate, but that's what happened.
If this story didn't happen now, maybe we would be looking at it differently. But it's a messy story. It's not the perfect story. And in a weird way, it not being the perfect story means we should look at it in the most perfect way possible. We should try and break it down and understand how something like this comes to be, because we don't always have video like this. We don't always have stories like this. And we don't even always look at it like this. But let's just take a moment to talk about what happened. You have a man who is sleeping in his car, right? A man who's sleeping in his car and he's drunk. Was he drunk driving? Let's say he is, right? So he's broken some law.
He was definitely drunk driving because he drove his car to the Wendy's. Not only was he sleeping in his car drunk, he was actually passed out drunk. The other detail you left out is he was blocking traffic.
Law not worth dying for. I think we can all agree on that.
He didn't die. He did not die for sleeping in his car. He did not die for drunk driving. He did not die for blocking traffic. He did not die for passing out drunk in his car. None of those reasons were why he died. He died because he fired a potentially lethal weapon at a police officer. And the police officer, in the heat of the moment, shot him. I don't know what I would do in that situation. I mean, you're talking about adrenaline, anger, fear, frustration, ego. Big emotions coming into play. When you get into violent situations, see, Trevor Noah has never been into a fight. Never been in a fight. I'm guaranteeing you, he's never been in a fight. I know he'll probably tell you he had a rough time in South Africa and he got beat up all the time because he's lighter skinned or some stupid garbage like that. He's never been in a fight. You get into a fight and your reason goes out the window. If you're not like truly trained to be in a combat situation, and I don't think the police are trained to be in a combat situation. Not really. They get some training, I'm sure, but I don't think they have extensive training on being in a combat situation. So
the police approach him, and even then, I asked the question: why are armed police dealing with a man who's sleeping in his car? He posed no threat to anybody. No one at Wendy's felt afraid. Cars are driving around him.
He posed a threat to the police officers arresting him. It's a good thing they had their lethal weapons with them, because he took one of their weapons. He fought them off with his hands first, and then took one of their potentially lethal weapons away from them, single-handedly while he's drunk. You think this guy isn't a threat to anybody? He became a threat to the police very quickly.
Stopping people from ordering food. So why are armed police there in the first place?
And the reason that the police were called, let's just assume they're not armed, but the police were called because this is a potentially dangerous situation. This is a potentially life-threatening situation for the person approaching the person in the car and for the person in the car. We don't know what's wrong with the person in the car. They may be dying. They may be in the process of dying. And the police are going to be better at making that determination and better at getting help than the average citizen is. Maybe the average citizen should have gone. Maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe they went up there and tried to rouse them, but they couldn't. So they called the police. This guy's causing a disruption on our property. Can you please come handle this? That's what you do. When my neighbors are causing a disruption here, I call the police. I don't deal with it. I don't go over there when they're angry and trying to kill each other. You want me to step into that? No, that's not my responsibility. It's the responsibility of people who are armed and trained to deal with people who want to kill them. Supposedly. At least a little bit.
That's the question. I think, like, these are all the questions we need to ask. Why? Why are armed police the first people who have to go and respond to somebody who's sleeping in their car who is drunk? Secondly, why do the police not give... I mean, the man says to them, I will walk home. If you're protecting and serving people, what is the true purpose of you not wanting people to drive drunk? It's that you don't want them killing themselves and other people. In this instance, no one had died because of his driving, and he hadn't killed himself because of his driving.
You're right, but... Okay, if you say, hey, I'm going to walk home, I'm drunk, just give me back my ID, I'll walk home, and then what are the police supposed to do? Follow you to make sure you walk home? And then wait around several hours for you to sober up and make sure you're not going to drive again? What? How is that going to work? The police can't babysit you. That's not their job.
And so as a police officer, maybe it's because I live in a utopian world where the police are truly just trying to protect and serve, not trying to write enough tickets, not trying to get enough people arrested, not trying to fill quotas. No, they're trying to protect and serve. In that instance, you would hope a policeman would say, sir, you do not look fit to drive. You said your sister lives around the corner. You said you live. We'll take you home.
This system used to be different. It used to be the police caught somebody drunk driving. They would be like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And we dump out. They'd dump out your beers. You're like, "Okay, drive home now and be safe." Apparently, that was not working. I don't know if it really wasn't working. I don't have the demographics pulled up, the statistics to show that. But that's how it used to be, and now it's not that way. And you know what you can do, Trevor? You can actually write a petition. You can do that. You can write a petition to get a non-lethal police force in the United States to deal with these issues. You can write a petition to have the law changed. You could run for office. Because last time I checked, we allow, in this country, we allow people of all races to hold public office. Do they do that in South Africa?
Find you driving drunk. We found you asleep in a car. So we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. The country's burning down because of the way black people are dealt with by the police. So let us show you just in a moment that it doesn't always have to end the way you think it has to end. I'm not saying they had to do that, but it would have been nice. They arrest him. He fights. Now, you know what's messy about this whole thing is we forget you are dealing with a drunk person. You're dealing with somebody. The very fact that you're not allowed to sign a contract when you're drunk. The very fact that you're not allowed to do anything when you're drunk.
Exactly. You're not allowed to do anything when you're drunk. So this is why the police are taking him into custody, because he is a threat to himself and others. He is safer in their custody than he is on the streets. He's proven that when they gave him a field sobriety test.
Tells us something about drunk people. We know what a drunk person is in society. They're not going to do the logical thing. So as a policeman, if a drunk person does an illogical thing, I feel like you should acknowledge the fact that they're drunk.
They probably were in chasing after him. He had a semi-lethal weapon. Potentially lethal weapon. In his possession, he's running away from the police. And we know he's drunk. Who's he going to shoot with that weapon? What's he going to do with that weapon? Is he going to mug someone? Is he going to cause someone to become incapacitated and then kill them? We don't know what this person is going to do with that weapon. Yes, he's legally allowed to own such weapons in this country, but if a police saw a person who's drunk with a weapon, they're most likely going to draw their weapons on that person. That's just standard. It's like, you're drunk and you have a weapon. I'm prepared to kill you if I have to, because I know you're not in the right state of mind.
It doesn't mean they deserve to die. They're drunk. We know what drunk people do. I've been drunk. You've been drunk. Everyone has been drunk.
No, I have never been drunk. I don't consume alcohol. I never have, and I never will. My wife has never been drunk. She doesn't consume alcohol. She never has, and she never will. So no, I don't know what it's like to be drunk. And no, I don't know how you think when you're drunk, other than how I've seen other people think. And it's not good from what I can tell. This is one of the reasons why my wife and I are together, because we don't want to deal with that situation in our relationship. We don't want to deal with somebody who is going to be irrational and insensitive to us. I have enough trouble being considerate all of the time with her as it is. She feels the same way about me, I'm sure.
Don't deserve to die for being drunk. And if police cannot respond or cannot handle a drunk person, well, then they shouldn't be responding. If you responding to a person who's drunk means that person can be dead, the whole point of you...
Was George Floyd drunk? You know, there's thousands of cases of police killing somebody who wasn't drunk. It doesn't matter if you're drunk, you can still be dead.
Going there was to make sure that people don't die because of whatever's happened. But if the people are going to end up dead anyway, then what's the point?
The person didn't end up dead because he was drunk. He ended up dead because he assaulted the police.
And people say he shouldn't have resisted. Yeah, he's drunk. I'm not excusing his act, but he's drunk.
You are excusing it. That's the thing you're saying. You're excusing. You're saying, look, he didn't deserve to have anything happen to him because he's drunk. That's what you're saying right now. Nothing should have happened to him. He's drunk. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's drunk. Just let him be. Just leave him be. He's drunk. He's fine. Yeah, and if people didn't drink, domestic violence rates would drop by 70%. Don't you understand how this... You say you do. You said you did. You understand that people who are drunk aren't in the right state of mind. How many how many times has somebody killed somebody drunk driving? You're gonna let him go back out onto the street? You said that you just said you want him to walk home. He said he's gonna walk home. You can't guarantee that. The way you guarantee that he's not going to hurt anybody else is you arrest him. That's the option. That's the option the police have. He has broken the law. He needs to be punished for breaking the law, and he's potentially dangerous. And this guy was actually seriously dangerous. He took on two police officers with his bare hands, beat them both, took a weapon from them, and ran from them. That's a dangerous person. Like, I can't do that sober. But he did it drunk.
In a situation like that, the sober person, in my opinion, the sober person, the onus is upon them to make sure the situation doesn't get out of hand. You're sober, he's drunk. How are two sober men wrestling with a drunk person on the ground?
That's the whole point that I mean. You're just like, you're supporting all of my points. You're supporting all of my points, Trevor. I don't know how you don't see this. He was a threat to society. Yes, the police couldn't handle this guy. They couldn't handle him. That's why this happened. They couldn't handle him and he was a threat. They tried to, but they couldn't.
How does it get that far? How does it end with him losing his life?
I've explained this to you. He assaulted the police. That's how he lost his life.
And people always say the same thing. They go, well, you know, if you didn't do that, then you would still be alive. They say this shit all the time. If you didn't do that, but
That's the truth. If you didn't do that, you'd still be alive. You know, if you didn't jump off of a 1,000-foot cliff without any kind of parachute, you'd still be alive. Imagine that. If you didn't do that, you'd still be alive. Who was going to be my brother-in-law, he died when he was young. He was 22, I think. He was young. He lost control of his car, crashed it so badly that he died. Well, if he hadn't been driving that day, he'd still be alive. You can say that about anything. If you hadn't been breathing, you'd still be alive, right? Because the end of your life is going to come no matter what you do. You cannot live forever. Even if we cured all disease and aging, tomorrow something is going to happen and you're going to die.
the truth is, the ifs keep on changing. Oh, if you didn't resist arrest. If you didn't resist arrest, you would still be alive. Or if you didn't run away from the cops, you would still be alive. Well, if you didn't have a toy gun and were 12 years old in the middle of a park, then you would have still been alive.
Yes, the ifs are all. There's a million different reasons why you can die. I just talked about this. I know, Trevor, you're not hearing me, and I know that you're not smart enough to figure this out. Clearly, you've proved that to me. I don't watch Trevor Noah. I don't watch The Daily Show. This is one of the few times I've actually watched anything he's ever done, and I've never like sat down and watched anything he's ever done. I've only seen like clips here and there, or heard him on the radio. Yes, if I shoot myself in the head with a shotgun, gee, I'm gonna die. Huh, imagine that. If I inject myself with, say, oh, I don't know, drain cleaner, I'm gonna die. What do you know? If I drink sulfuric acid, there's a good chance I'm gonna be dead after that, right? If I decide to stop eating for, say, a month, I'm not gonna have any calories in my diet for 1 month. I'm gonna die. Yeah, the ifs are always changing because there's a million different ways you can die. And Timmy Rice is not the only person who's ever been shot by police because he had a toy gun.
Wearing a hoodie, you would have still been alive. Well, if you didn't talk back to the cops, you would have still been alive. If you weren't sleeping in your bed as a black woman, you would have...
So, Breonna Taylor, I look at her, I don't know all the details of her story, but I look at her and I'm like, I thought that was a white girl. I did not know that she was black. And the police were not going into the building, whatever building it was that she was in, and looking for people to kill in bed. Looking for black people to kill in bed. That's not what they were doing. She should have kept better company and not been associated with people who were trying to kill the police or assault the police. That's what happened, okay? This is my understanding. It was an accidental killing.
Common thread beyond all the ifs. If you weren't black, maybe you'd still be alive.
In my last videos, I've pulled up all these statistics and shown you white people are more likely to die by the hands of the police and black people appear to commit more crimes. If You don't believe that is the case. Really. I mean, true belief. What I mean by true belief is I believe the floor is going to hold me up. I don't have to think about that. It is something I accept as reality as I move through the world. Your true belief, Trevor Noah, the accepted reality inside of your soul, is that the United States is a safe place for black people. Otherwise, you'd be living in South Africa right now. I mean, why would you stay in a country where you are being killed? Why would you do that? Makes no sense. So I'm going to stop it there. Obviously, that's the end of his show. So it's the end of my show. Trevor Noah, you're being illogical, irrational, and it makes me think of one of either two things. Either you're an idiot, or you are trying to fleece your audience. I'm not sure which one. Neither one is good. Don't be stupid. Educate yourself, and don't try to deceive people. I'll see y'all later.